Hello, everybody. Welcome into another edition of the Computer America Show. We got a really
1 minute until showtime.
great show planned for you here on today's program. We're going to be talking in the second hour. We'll be doing computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. And in the first hour, they're back. We're going to be talking to Firedragon. We have the company's CEO, Sean Gallagher, is here with us. Gallagher, he is going to be talking about the latest in cybersecurity. It should be a very interesting program. Again, he's with Firedragon Security, and we'll be talking to him in the first hour. So sit back, relax, as we bring to you 2 hours of the Computer America Show, starting in about 20 seconds. Ten seconds.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And it is a welcome into a Thursday edition of the Computer America Show. It is all about computers and technology, and we have a terrific show planned for you here today. In the second hour of the show, we're going to bring to you computer and technology news. That's brought to you by Slimware Utilities. They are the official optimization software of Computer America. And in the first hour, we're going to be talking about the world of cybersecurity and what's going on. We understand there's a real cyber war going on out there. We're going to be talking about the latest in cybersecurity and what you can do to, protect yourself and your information, your computer. With one,
I don't know, the way you said that, it made me think you were going to say, "Oh, there's a cyber war going out there. It's cyber warring like cats and dogs out there. It's insane."
It is. It's like cats and dogs.
It doesn't. I mean, I guess because people can't really see it, physically. When someone steals money, like a pickpocket, they think it. Oh, well, whatever. I'm protected by something. But this is going to be a really great guest to have on to talk all about that.
Yeah, we'll even throw in a few dogs for you. Okay, so
but no cats.
No cats.
That's specious.
Yes, it is. It's if you have a comment or a question for a guest, we'd love to hear from you. Pick up the phone and give us a call. 347-884-8881. That's 347-884-8881. We'll get you on and it will get you through. Okay. You can also go to our website, computeramerica.com. If you're radio shy, you don't want to make a phone call, in the upper right-hand corner of any page at our website, computeramerica.com, click it. It's a link. It says submit your question. You click that link, it'll take you to a question submission page. You can type in whatever you'd like, hit the submit button, and Ben and I will see your comment or question right away. It's a really simple thing to do, and it's very effective. The other thing that we also encourage you to do is watch our show. Watch your show? Yes, watch it. Yeah, we are a radio broadcast, but it's the 21st century, and we provide live video streaming of Computer America. And the way that you can tap into that, again, is to head over to our website, computeramerica.com. On any page, the menu bar, it says Show Lounge. Just click it. It'll take you to our live video streaming page. You'll be joined to the show already in progress, and you can see the show. Now, you won't be able to see our guest today because he's on the phone, but you can see Ben, which is probably the most important thing because, that's what he's here to do. So you can see him. He's a smiling face. And also, Ben has the technology to display websites, videos, movies, links, that type of thing. So you can actually interact and just join in with on the discussion and just to see more clearly what it is that we're talking about. It's just a really cool thing, and we invite you to do that. Again, everything about our show is happening at computeramerica.com. It is truly the internet home of our radio broadcast. Okay. So before we get Sean on the phone, anything else you want to mention, Ben, before we get started?
Anything else? Please stick around for the second hour. We're going to have a lot of great news stories and just latest topics and conversation, including Google coming out with their some new phones, and they're really pushing a new augmented reality solution to, I'm sure, kind of take Microsoft on. Instead of just letting them have the space, Google wants a finger in that pie as well. But no, as per this guest, I think we are good to go.
Okay, well, that sounds interesting, by the way, that story. Okay.
Can't wait to get to it.
Well, as I said, in this hour, we're going to hear all about Firedragon, a network intrusion detection system, or NIDS, or NIDS. It's an independent platform that identifies intrusions by examining network traffic and monitoring multiple hosts. NIDS gains access to network traffic by connecting to a network hub, switch configured for port mirroring, or a network tap. Okay. In a NID, sensors are placed at choke points in the network, often in the network demilitarized zone or at network borders. Sensors capture all network traffic and analyze the content of individual packets for malicious traffic. That is a mouthful, okay? And here to kind of explain it all.
Does that really need explanation? It was so clear and so obvious to so many listeners.
And a more clear function is Sean Gallagher. He is the CEO of Cyber Black Ops. They are a company, DBA, Firedragon. Sean, welcome into Computer America. How are you?
Great. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thanks for being back again.
Pleasure.
Yeah, exactly. So, as I said in the introduction, that was quite a mouthful. There's a lot going on. Why don't you kind of tell our listeners a little bit more about what you do over there at Firedragon Security and what it's all about?
Okay. So what happens is that when you're talking about 21st century hacking, people always get the kind of the picture in their mind of what a lot of us saw as kids. I'm probably going to date myself, but the people hacking through firewalls and getting onto networks and this, that, and that's not really what happens anymore. It's more about intrusion detection. So what happens now is people will come in and put some type of a piece of software on your network and basically have that gather the information. And so that's really what we do, is we look for those types of things hanging out on your network, and we detect them, we inform you, and that's what we do at Firedragon. Now, how that's important to the consumer is that all of these intrusions that you hear about, Bank of America and Home Depot and stuff, that's how they did it. There was not one person that sat there and hacked on the other side and hacked through the firewall and then went in and figured out that they wanted all of these lists and pulled them off and all the other fun stuff. It is exactly how it happened. They dropped something on their network and then they intruded that way. So we really have to think about, as consumers and as business people and people in general, exactly how cybersecurity is changing, because as anything in computers, it changes almost daily, but the whole philosophy, the whole ideology of hacking has changed. And that's where we sit. We sit on the forefront of that change.
When you say they drop something on the network, I mean, this is not something you just walk by and there's an open container, you toss it in. I mean, how do they get this code, or this software, obviously, onto another company's network? I mean, do they have to physically drop it in, or can they? I mean, what's the process? How are they doing that? Because you still mentioned firewalls. You have all this protection. How are they getting this software in there?
That is a great question. And how they do this is, I wrote a little article out on our site called The Red Zone. And basically, it's the point in the network where people make decisions. And that's you on your PCs, or your employees on their PCs, or you at home on your PCs deciding to go out to a website that is a little sketchy, or deciding that they want some type of a screensaver or pop-up or something on their home computer, and they download it and it's free. but they don't realize what they're doing is they're downloading these type of little programs that will transmit information back to hosts where they can gather information like your ID, your passwords, and stuff like that.
Really?
So all the time when people think that things are free, they're not free.
So basically, so when you go to a website that you might not be familiar with, or it might even be could it be a website that I'm very familiar with, but that site itself has somehow been compromised, and just by my going there, I could pick this up, or does it have to be some sort of place that I've never been before, and it's like in the dark alleys of the internet? What are we talking here?
It can be both, and absolutely there's been sites that have been intruded, and I think it was a couple of years ago. I think Bank of America was intruded that way, that they had embedded something that was basically downloading to people's PCs, and that's not that uncommon to happen. You know, when people are out there, when they need to understand that this cybersecurity war that goes on is not against an individual person, it's against a group of people. And that's where they make their money. They don't make their money by taking your personal information and that's all you take. Their information, they make money by taking all of the bank's information, everyone in the bank. That's how they make their money, because that's the best bang for the buck. And so it's interesting to see how much is portrayed in the media about cybersecurity, and sometimes how wrong they get it, because they have this mentality that there's, you know, these hackers out there that are just annoying people, but it's actually a business. It's actually a business like any other business. It's
interesting, and we're certainly hearing more about that. That the attack is not against the individual, because we still have all this antivirus software, and they warn you that the people are going to try to steal your information off your computer. Although the big one today is the ransomware you hear a lot about. And
yeah, that was one that we did a story recently, or at least we covered a story recently that said that the hackers or criminals, what have you, they instead of going for something a little bit more long term, like maybe compromising someone's identity and taking out a loan or what have you in their name, or even stealing credit cards, which have a high chance of being canceled before you actually even get to use them, instead they're turning to ransomware. And I'm sure that Sean, you can speak to how popular this has become, because it kind of lets people get money immediately. Like, they don't have to jump through any more hoops than get this on someone's system, and then they send me money.
Yeah, and that's a huge problem for business and everything else. And maybe and this is maybe just me, but I always find that stuff is extremely invasive, because you look at, they know who they're doing this with, and they know what type of money to extort out of them. And basically what they do is they will send you an email, or you'll download something to your PC in this red zone area, and it will then encrypt everything on your PC. And then they'll pop up and say, hey, for anywhere from, I've seen it for as little as $50 up to as high as $15,000, we will give you all your information back. And there's really no way to deal with that unless you have a backup of all your documentation, all your data. So it's a huge problem. And to be honest with you, this has been around for probably 5-6 years. And the last version of ransomware that came out a few years ago, I think they had I believe that they had paid about $100,000, something like that, to make the ransomware, because they've got programmers in a lot of countries, Eastern Europe and in China and a bunch of other places, that's all they do is program these type of these type of programs. Anyways, they took and paid about $100,000 to get it done, and I think that they pulled out something like $250 million out of it. So this is a business, and that's how they go after things. And so the ransomware is a huge problem because you are kind of stuck unless you have a backup. So, I mean, people that believe that they can get by without a backup or everything else need to understand that it's not just their system failing. It's this type of scenario going on where ransomware will infect your computer and encrypt everything on the computer. And you can't do anything with it. So if you really think about it, all of your information, even as a person that does business out of their house, as for a person that is got an office or whatever, but they spend a lot of their time at home or however that works. If you think about not having access to the information on your PC and not being able to get access to it, maybe that'll give you an idea of exactly how detrimental this type of application is to the general public.
And how does it get? Is it usually some employee will get one of these emails and open it up and look at it, and then that infects the entire network?
Or is it like a banner ad? It's like, oh, look, I'm the millionth visitor and I won a prize. Let's click that. And what is the vector?
That's exactly how it works. Exactly what you guys are saying. That's exactly. It's usually someone unsuspecting. They'll either open an email or they'll download something, and literally within seconds, it will encrypt everything on your PC and everything your PC has access to. So we've seen encryptions work through the PC onto servers, across networks to other network shares and everything else. And basically, when you're dealing with encryption, there's no real practical way to decrypt all that information. There's just not.
Except with the key of some sort, right? That you have to buy from them.
Correct.
Yeah. And
correct. And that's really the only way to do it.
And there's no way to reverse engineer it to say, okay, well, and to find the key. I mean, is it that difficult?
See, and this is one of the things that is interesting about people and not understanding encryption. Mm-hmm. Encryption necessarily, you can have the algorithm for the encryption and still not be able to break the key. And what I mean by an algorithm, it's just the calculation they take to make the key, because you may not know exactly what that algorithm is based on. And if you can imagine, all of our computers have a bunch of things on our computer that have individual fingerprints on it. Could be a network card, could be a serial number of the CPU, could be a bunch of things, and it's individual to that PC. No other PC has information like that on it. They just don't. Mm-hmm. So when you're talking about an encryption sequence, they can tie that encryption sequence to your PC and to that fingerprint. And unless you know exactly what they tied it to, it's going to be extremely difficult to find out or to decrypt all that information. Even if you have the application ripped open and you can see the actual calculations that they use to get that key. I don't know if that made a lot of sense or not.
No. So when you
that's how it works.
So when you get the key, they pay the ransom, and then how do you use the key to unscramble it? Then what do you do then? So they okay, here's the key. Then what do you do?
Then you input the key into the application that's sitting on your PC, and basically what it will do is it'll go through and decrypt all of your data.
Now,
so I guess anyone who used to go to the store, buy a CD in a jewel case and had that little sticker on it said this is the CD key, essentially the same thing, but for decrypting your entire digital life. Okay.
But what's to ensure, Sean, that when you put that key in, that that'll work, or even if it works, that they won't do it again?
Nothing. There's nothing that will ensure that it will work or anything else. It's kind of, you're at the mercy of their integrity to an extent. A lot of times they'll ask you to submit payment in Bitcoins, which are untraceable, or something along that line. So you're guessing and hoping that what they're telling you is correct. Well, now, we have not had anyone that we know of that it's not worked, but
well, isn't that's because wouldn't that be bad for their business? I mean, if it gets out that they're you're paying money and they're not giving you the key to unlock it, isn't that bad for quote unquote? Because you say it's a business, wouldn't it be bad for their business?
Yeah, and I think that's the reason why you haven't heard anyone say that I paid and it didn't work. I think that and I hate to use this term, but I think that they honor that part of the situation where they give you the key because of exactly what you said. I think that if word got out that, hey, I paid this ransom and it didn't work, I think that a lot of people would just say, forget it, I'm not going to pay any ransom. I'll just have to figure out how I'm going to go from here, basically.
Sort of honor among thieves mentality.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is. But yes,
that is a terrible thing to have to rely on.
Absolutely, but you're mentioning that the real only solution to this would be a backup, and obviously you'd want a backup that is not connected to the same server, obviously, because then your backups are encrypted as well. Is there anything else? Like, what should people do if they want to be safe from something like this? How do people go about making a secure backup to prevent themselves from having to deal with this?
Well, how you would go through to make a secure backup to prevent yourself with this is make sure that your backup is only accessing your data at a certain time and then is disconnected in some form or fashion. Most applications like Veritas or even Carbonite basically will end up in a situation where it will disconnect at one point in time, and that will be a clean backup. Now, there's a lot of backup solutions out there that will retain multiple backups where it'll have multiple days worth of backups, and that's good too, because if, for instance, you were out of your office, it happened, and you were out of your office, you came back the next day, and your system did do a backup and overwrote your last backup, then you would be kind of in a tough spot because your backup would no longer be good. But if you've got multiple backups, meaning that they've got multiple days worth of backup, then you can go to a couple days before and pull it out. So those type of solutions where you have multiple days backup, or you have your backup is being disconnected from your data, are the ones that are effective. The ones where they're just copying stuff to drives out on the network, those are not really that effective, because if it sees that drive, it's going to encrypt that too.
All right, so here's another question, Sean. So let's say the malware is installed. You're saying it doesn't encrypt all my stuff immediately. It sits around for a while, and so in hopes that I'm going to back in one of my backups, it's going to back up the stuff before it does it. Is that what you're saying? I mean, or when you have it, or,
this is a version of malware. This is a version of hacking that goes on, and in this flavor, it's fairly instantaneous when you download it. Now you can detect it. You can detect it on your intrusion detection, and sometimes you can catch it before they actually activate it. But the minute that you click on it, that you pop it up,
mm-hmm.
it's going to activate and it's going to encrypt at that point in time. But other versions of stuff that gets put on your network, as for stuff that is doing data collection, mm-hmm. and those are probably far and away the more common things out there. Those will take time for them to pull that information off of the network, because there's really kind of a project plan when it comes to these companies that are out there that are doing this hacking. They intrude your network first, and then they try to analyze what data they want off of it, and then they extract your data. So I wrote another article called Time to Live about that.
So that all happens without you knowing it. So basically, so you're not alerted to the fact that your system is compromised. Business is normal. I mean, everything is going on while all this is happening in the background. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. And what happens is that unless you have some type of an IDS device, you're not going to be alerted. You're not going to know until it's already, the time's over. Like, for instance, the hack that happened at Sony a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, that became pretty famous. They were in their network approximately 18 months before.
Wow.
And so it took them 18 months to get to a point where they could really do some damage, and they did.
Well, what now? If you have something, your network intrusion detection system that you have, and let's say I was Sony and I had Firedragon installed, how would have that scenario played out with Sony?
Well, it would have alerted you once they intruded on your network, and then you would have had approximately 18 months to extinguish them. So in that scenario, you would have saw that they were actually in your network. You would have saw where they were at and what they were doing, and then you could have brought your IT techs or got someone to go over, take and extinguish the problem, and then go on with life.
And now, when this all happened with Sony, this is, as you said, about a year and a half. I mean, was Firedragon around at the time to do this, or did you kind of come out after the fact and you're here now, so this won't happen again?
Firedragon has been working on this type of solution for the last 3 to 4 years. At that point, we were in beta testing. We were not really out and about to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
But since then, we went through all of that testing, and now we're out and about. But it is a huge problem that comes down the road that every business will have to deal with in the future. Okay,
so companies like Target and, as you say, Sony and all the ones that have this before now have the option of installing a product from Firedragon. Are they? I guess that's my. Are they not taking advantage of what it is that you have to offer? And if not, why?
Yeah,
why not?
We've had some discussions with larger companies, and they had some installs that are going out. Yes, they are taking advantage, and I think they're starting to realize. But you have to understand the whole mindset of cybersecurity is in the midst of changing and needs to change, because we're throwing our money at the front of our protection, and it's kind of interesting. As I always tell people, when you're taking and you're looking at fighting a war, do you want to be able to put all your money in the front and try to figure out who's going to attack you, meaning that you can be attacked by anyone when you're at your firewall? Or do you want to end up in a situation where you want to know who's attacking you, the people that have actually intruded in your network, and go after them at that point? And at that point, that's the most cost-effective, most efficient way to do it. Because if I just put something out there, I can be attacked by anyone from the Chinese government to the people, the companies in Eastern Europe, to you name it. I can be attacked by anyone, and I don't know who I'm going to be attacked by. But when you're talking about intrusion, they're right on your network. You know who they are, or you should know who they are. And at that point in time, then you have the advantage, because you know who they are, and most of the time they don't know that you know who they are.
So what can you do? So what do you do with that? What do you do with that information? Let's say I find it's the Chinese government or some person in Hong Kong somewhere where I can't normally get to. I mean, how does that benefit me?
Okay, so this is a way to deal with that. First, you need to deal with the intrusion itself. With Firedragon, it'll tell you where that intrusion's at, where all the information, where those programs and where that program's sitting on your network.
Okay.
You go out and extinguish that first and get rid of that, so it's not transmitting stuff back to China or whoever else. Then you go to your perimeter, firewall, or what you have as your perimeter cybersecurity device, and you block out that section of the world, for instance, or that section of the internet, so that they cannot intrude on your network. Now, there's always people that will hack around that stuff and everything else, and you have to understand that hacking is a thing that goes on 24/7. But in that standpoint of it, you've extinguished that flaw in your network, or that problem that you have on your network.
So obviously, you have to have some pretty savvy IT guys on your payroll using Firedragon. This is not something that just the average person running word processors are going to do. You have to have people who are fairly well trained in this. It sounds like.
and that's really where Firedragon is the exception to the rule. When you look at a lot of other IDS systems, you're exactly right. You need to have someone that can interpret what language they're going to give them information and stuff. We are pretty user friendly, meaning that you're going to have someone that understands IT, because the information we give them, they're going to have to go into registries possibly. They're going to have to know where to locate stuff on hard drives,
Right.
and basically detect and delete and everything else. But we're not going to give them a whole bunch of information that they need a degree in cybersecurity to decipher.
Okay.
We're pretty plain English. We give it to them, and they look at it. Most network administrators or people that work on the network look at it and go, okay, I know exactly what that means.
Exactly. All right.
And so that's really where we shine.
All right, Sean, listen, we're at the bottom of the hour. We're going to take a little break. This is fascinating stuff. Again, we're talking about Firedragon. We have the CEO of Cyber Black Ops, Sean Gallagher, is here with us. 347-884-881. I'll get you on and get you through. We're going to take a short commercial break. We have another news tips bulletin review from Marty Winston coming up as well, and then we'll continue back with him. This is Computer America.
Sometimes disaster strikes. Data can be lost due to many different reasons. Accidental reformatting, power spikes, virus attacks. Zero Assumption Recovery provides a suite of highly effective and thorough data recovery software for Windows operating systems. ZA is suitable for home users and small businesses who need a powerful data recovery solution for Windows and Linux file systems.
Go to z-a-recovery.com.
Sometimes disaster strikes. Data can be lost due to many different reasons. Accidental reformatting, power spikes, virus attacks. Zero Assumption Recovery provides a suite of highly effective and thorough data recovery software for Windows operating systems. ZA is suitable for home users and small businesses who need a powerful data recovery solution for Windows and Linux file systems.
Go to z-a-recovery.com.
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? That's so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
Oh, heck, he was so fat, I bet it took him 2 trips to go through a revolving door. I'm Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin review of the pad of wire with places so skinny arms and hands just can't get through. The Klein Tools polymer fish rod set has 4 rods, different types: round rigid, round semi-rigid, flat semi-rigid, and round glow-in-the-dark. Each is 14 inches long, with one end threaded male, the other a mating female. It also has 5 glow-in-the-dark ends: mini eyelet, domed eyelet, bullet, hook, and claw. Different ways to grab wires. Bottom line, when the wire you have to place is in way too skinny a space, a Klein Tools polymer fish rod set can make running that wiring a lot less tiring. Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin review for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 33 minutes past the hour as we are here doing an hour with Mr. Sean Gallagher, and he is the CEO for Firedragon and FiredragonSecurity.net. We're going to have a link up on our website linking to it, so don't worry about having to write that down. But yeah, we're talking all about cybersecurity and really just getting into some of the ways that you can use Firedragon Security to really protect yourself from all this? I mean, just the tools that we've kind of quickly outlined, sounds like this is something a step beyond even just an anti-malware or antivirus program. It seems to give with the person with the proper knowledge all the tools you need to really prevent a lot of these bigger hacks and and worse.
So, and your audience really, Sean, is not the person sitting behind their PC or their Mac or what have you. You're the people that that your company appeals to are organizations. About how big would you say? More than a mom and pop?
We do have small to large organizations. Our target really is people that really want to keep their information secure to an extent, meaning that you can have loan offices, smaller loan offices and stuff like that, and all that stuff they're liable to keep all that stuff secure. And up to large corporations, we have to understand in this day and age that everything that goes on in the world is put on some type of computer somewhere. I always like to listen to people because they seem to not understand how close this is to them. For instance, if you look at robbing a bank 20 years ago, basically they'd have a couple guys go in and stick them up and grab the money and leave. And so that's not a big deal. You know whether that person is, you know what's going on, and you end up in a situation where that one bank has been robbed. But anymore, they're bringing this directly to you. So they don't have to worry about going into a bank and robbing a bank. They can just rob the bank through the website or through their information systems. And that also affects you as a consumer, because not only when they take and they go after these type of targets like Walmart, like a Home Depot, like a Chase or anyone else, when they go after these targets, they're going after your information. This is the personal information you gave the bank or anyone else that you have given them to be entrusted to them. So as consumers, we have to kind of remember that this is not just us on our computers at home. We're putting information into systems all over the world to an extent. And that we have to understand. We have to be as secure in there as possible.
So you're saying bank robbery is so 20th century?
Well, people still rob banks, but they do it virtually.
Yeah.
And if you've noticed, it's kind of interesting if you look at the stats. A lot of the bank robberies, the physical bank robberies, have went down, and the main reason is that it's a lot easier to do it cyber-wise. It's a lot easier to do that type of thing, and cybercrime is a huge thing for not only banks and stuff like that, but also for the U.S. government and every other government all over the world. They have huge units that are dedicated to fight and to basically use these type of tools to work a cyber warfare. I mean, you think about the certain things that we have and how that affects them. If you're talking about a 21st century military, you're talking about drones and everything else. That's all done by networks. That's not done by someone thinking that it's going to work. It's done by networks and it's done by data communications and everything else. And when you're talking about, intruding upon those type of networks, you're talking about a huge issue, and not only just an issue for the military, but a national security issue. And that's why you see so much activity going on in the U.S. government and governments all over the world have to do with cybersecurity, because they understand how detrimental an intrusion like that will do to the government and the government system. Well,
let me ask you this, John. I mean, okay, I understand what you're saying. I think most of our audience understands what it is that you do. You're the CEO of Cyber Black Ops, and which is you're doing business as Firedragon Security, and you have this product. How do you reach out to governments or buildings and say, hey, look, we've got this great product here? I mean, how do you draw attention to yourself? Do you go to conventions to
Well,
say,
I mean, you could always make headlines and, hack into them and then, make yourself very, very public and say, hey, check it out. I just got the CEO's address. It's like, well, no,
Yeah.
that's,
no, you don't want to do that. I mean, yeah. I mean, how do you say?
Yeah, and then you can go to jail too.
Right.
I don't want to go to jail.
How do you let them know that you're there? I mean, other
so
than doing
that-
shows like us,
That's a good question. That's a good question. And how we've done it is we've outreach to businesses and to organizations. We'll go and speak at organizations and conventions and stuff like that to explain to them about this, this product, but more about where cybersecurity is and where it's going. And I think that's one of the things that I think we as people need to understand, but also as businesses and as governments need to understand that as much as computers have evolved, I mean, no one really thought of a smartphone 10, 15 years ago. It really wasn't even thought of to an extent. But now everyone has one, and we got to understand that cybersecurity runs the same way, that there's always an iteration of technology that goes on in every field, and cybersecurity is none different. There's always better ideas. I know that sounds weird, but better ideas, or there's always more things to do or to basically to hack. And when you look at how much information is out there, I mean, you ask people how much they use actual physical dollars anymore, and most people don't use them anymore. A lot of people do, but you'll find out, at least for me, I'm lucky if I have $4 or $5 on me at one point. I have my ATM card, but I'm lucky if I have $4 or $5 on me. I don't carry physical cash anymore. And in that standpoint of it, that's where our information is going. We're going to allow companies, governments, and everything else to retain our information. And if we do that, if that's where we're headed, which it's where we're headed, then we need to understand that we have to be as confident in the banks that we do business with the companies we do business with. And really the only thing to be confident is if their structure and what their thought process is that they're subscribing to a 21st century cybersecurity ideas. And that's where we're at. And so far, you're starting to see the industry change, but a lot of times you see people are still subscribing to cybersecurity like it was, 1995. And you got to step back and go, okay, that's not really that secure. That's not what they're doing now. They're not going to be hacking at your firewall. Firewall is a secondary intrusion point. They don't really look at that. So in that situation, we have to kind of look at what we're doing and keep aware as consumers of where these companies are at on that side, because we are allowing them to gather information and to basically send our information all over the world in some aspects.
It can be a little daunting, I would think. I mean, because Ma and Pa, they're how are they? They go to a local bank and they get their ATM cards, and I mean, how are they qualified to go up to the teller there, or the person that they're opening an account with and say, okay, tell me about your cybersecurity system here and how well protected. It probably wouldn't even occur to so many people to even ask them that question, Sean.
And you're right. They don't ask those questions. And a lot of the people at the front desk may not be able to give them that information, but you can check out that information by just seeing how many intrusions that the person has had online. You can go out and query that type of stuff, or end up in a situation where you do talk to someone that may have that information, but it's detrimental to you. I don't think anyone would ever say, you know what, I'm going to go in, I'm going to put this, $10,000 into the bank, but I really don't know what type of secure they have. And I'm just going to send it to them and tell them to stick it in a safety deposit box. I don't know what they're using.
Mm.
Most people are going to step back and go, well, wait a second. I want to go look at the bank and see if that's secure. I'm going to see that they've got guards and that they've got some type of system that's in place so someone can't just walk in there and grab it. But we really don't think about that when we transfer, for instance, that type of money from one bank to another across the internet or something along that lines.
Yeah. And
For
where
sure.
does the responsibility end? So how much of that should be on us as consumers, as opposed to the companies that we put our trust in?
Well, the ultimately the responsibility is always going to be on you, because the company that may have this intrusion necessarily isn't going to be hurt as much as you, because they've got their systems in place to protect them a lot of times, but they're not necessarily going to be as, if you walk in one day and you have zero money in your bank account, that's going to affect you probably that day, and may affect you, depending upon how quickly that can be returned back to your account, may affect you dramatically if you have to make your house payment, or you have to pay your utility bills or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So you as a consumer, that's going to affect you. It's similar to driving a car or anything else. Your responsibility is going to be towards you. You're going to have to kind of look at it and say, I need to understand what I'm going to do if this happens, or I need to understand what I'm going to do, or how I'm going to check these people out. And as I said, you can kind of look online. There's as much information as there is about people online. There's as much information about corporations and companies online too. And if you see a bank, if it's a local bank, and you make a query and you find out they've had, 4 or 5 situations where they've had people intrude your bank, then you might think about putting your money somewhere else, or something along that line.
Mm.
And that's really where this boils in. They have to install and have to put these type of systems in place to understand exactly what the 21st century hacking is going on, because that's where they're getting hammered. Is they got this 1995 mentality in a lot of companies, and it just isn't working now.
Right, and here's where my question comes in, because we found the story. I think we had this Monday. We didn't get to it, so our listeners may not know about it. But I kind of want to get your feelings on this, because obviously you've developed a lot of great software that helps people protect themselves. Obviously, this could be used in the financial district, but I'm kind of interested. Have you heard about a Bangladeshi bank making false requests for money? And company and these banks, or at least the New York Fed, actually blocked like 30 requests, but then like 4 got through, and they stole $80 million. Did you hear about this one at all, Sean?
Yeah, and that's not, believe it or not, that's somewhat happened before. There was a run on a bank in, I want to say it was in Western Europe, that had something very similar happen. They had someone that went in and understood exactly how the system works. Now, when you're looking at that type of scenario, you also have to look at that there's someone on there's an inside idea of exactly how their systems work. So there's a good possibility they have been infected in some form or fashion of some type of intrusion software.
Right.
To understand exactly how to make these requests go through.
Right.
So in that standpoint of it, they probably had some type of intrusion already going on. And that's what I mean, is that you end up in a situation where they have to, you have to really look at how these wars are being fought, and they're not being fought only on the battlefield. They're being fought in cyberspace and on the internet and in your local banks even.
Yeah. Go ahead. Well, no.
What people don't understand is that through this whole scenario, you can get a wire transfer from a bank that goes through your local bank and ends up in a situation where, if it looks valid and it has the right keys and everything else to make sure it looks valid, which is where I think that intrusion might have played a part in this.
Right.
To understand what those keys were. If it has all of that situation, your local bank is not going to know the difference. They're going to just let it go. And I'm sure that that's probably the majority, although I haven't seen a list of it, but that's probably the majority of what went on and why they'd gotten these transactions through.
Right. Well, the reason I kind of wanted your input on this was because, through a little bit further investigation, they found that they a couple of individuals were able to hack into the bank, and they were able to use the bank's credentials to request money from the New York Fed, and from all these other institutions all over the world. Like there was actually one in Germany, and like they blocked like 30 of them just because just like you said, they're typos and incorrect spellings and things like that, which are just red flags. But the funny thing is, I'm like, again, you've spent, I don't know how much money you spent in time and effort and energy you've spent developing something like Firedragon, but at the end of the day, this bank, and $81 million later, was stolen because they used cheap secondhand switches that saved them maybe $80. Like how does that make you feel as someone as a purveyor of security, and then $80 of a corner cutting led to that much damage?
It's like I said, you end up in a situation where you have people fighting a cyber war like it's 1995. People that were expecting to fight their cyber war at their firewall. That's where people in 1995 were fighting the cyber war. At this point, the firewall doesn't mean a lot anymore. I mean, you have to have a good firewall. Don't kid. I'm not saying you don't. You have to have a good firewall. It has to work well and everything else, and it has to have a lot of things that go on with that. But where you're getting attacked is you're getting attacked in that red zone. I'm sure that they didn't hack through the firewall and get to the server that way. They probably went in and dropped something on their network and just pulled the data off of their network. And in that standpoint of it, that's one of the problems that we run into, is that you see companies that are using these cheap switches because they're saying, oh, well, why not use a cheap switch? Because to be quite honest with you, we have to make sure our firewall is really nice, but no one's going to get through our firewall. Well, yes, we're inviting them through our firewall. They're not hacking through our firewall. We're inviting. We're having people downloading stuff and answering emails and everything else inside. And why end up in a situation where you're going to beat down a door when someone's going to open up the door and invite you in? And that's
Right.
That's the mentality. That's the change that's happened in the last 15 years, is that hackers realize they can spend a lot of time trying to beat down that door, or they can just be a little bit smarter and have people invite them in. And that's what happens a lot of times.
Right. And I guess one more consumer-oriented piece of advice. How do we make sure that our information is safe online with shopping and social media? Because with these institutions, we're giving away a lot of information, kind of in search fields. How do we make sure that those are safe?
Well, you have to be somewhat confident in who you're dealing with, and we have to understand that when we're talking about social media, we're talking about things like that we're giving them information. But a lot of times you might want to look at your end user agreements, because a lot of times when we give them the information, they basically say that they own that information. And in that standpoint of it, we really don't have a leg to stand on if they get hacked or anything else. I think it was today that Twitter was hacked with like 35 million passwords or something along that line. I'm not exactly sure of all the numbers, but and they were selling passwords and users' accounts and passwords within hours after they had gone and pulled that information. I'm sure that was not something that they hacked today and they sold today. I'm sure that was something that they had dropped in there and basically extract the information and decided today was the sale day of it. So in that aspect of it, we're giving our information to people a lot of times, and especially when you're talking about a social media, because if you look at their end user agreements, a lot of times they're extremely intrusive, and a lot of times they'll say, this information that you're posting on our website is our information anymore. And so that's why you don't see a lot of people suing Facebook or Twitter or any of these other things when they've lost information or that information's been exploited, is because in the end user agreements that you say that it's their information. And
And
if their information gets hacked, it's their information.
Right, exactly, and I guess that's that's how they kind of protect themselves from situations, because they know that this is going to happen, sooner or later. No matter how protected you are, Sean, and again, you're in this business of protection, but it's like the old lock and key. You make a better lock, and then they try to buy a better key to break that lock, and then you make a better one to protect against that key, and it's back and forth, back and forth. It's never really going to end, is it? There's always going to be something.
There's always, as I said, it's like every other part of the computer industry. It's constantly evolving, and as it evolves, there's going to be tools evolve also, and there's going to be, on that aspect, there's be all that stuff that comes down. But one thing you have to understand is that the foundations and the logic behind everything really never evolves. They're always going to want to get information. There's always going to want to exploit a network. These are truths that's happened in the 80s and happened in the 90s and still happens now. It's just how they do it that evolves. And that's the thing that people don't understand, that it is evolving. And you're correct. It's always going to evolve, and it constantly will be evolving as we move from PCs to laptops to devices to who knows what's next. It's going to evolve. And as we get our devices more personal to us, so is our security.
Well, I mean, obviously we've got the Internet of Things. That's the next big thing. I mean, that's all subject to, and that can be protecting everything from our coffee pots to our front doors.
We nailed the single terminal of inputting information. We decided that now everything has to be an input of information that can't be compromised, because we've nailed protecting our computers.
Yeah, no, we haven't. And so when you put that lock on your front door that can be accessed with a smartphone, I mean, do you envision that's the next thing, or are they going to stick with banks and just money, or do you think that cyber criminals will try to hack our front door?
Yeah. I mean, hack our air conditioners, our cars, our microwaves, our everything.
Well, they've already started hacking, showing that they can hack cars. The other part that you got to remember too is that as technology gets cheaper, so does the hacking tools. So if I'm building an application that I say, you know what, for $30, I'm going to sell anyone this application. This application is going to be able to walk up to a door, and if it's running some type of electronic security, you press a button and it'll go through the frequencies or whatever and find that door and unlock it. Then yes, they're going to exploit that, because that's how the criminal enterprises work. They're going to look at that and say, okay, let's spend $20,000 on building this application, and we'll make $200,000 in it by selling it to criminals all over the world to go in and hack the doors. And so that's one of the things that I think that that always goes on, is that evolution. And as we evolve, and as these things get more and more personal, so does our security, and so does how quickly or how close criminals can get to you.
Yeah, and there's no end in sight, is there? We're pretty much out of time, Sean. Again, there's no end in sight. You've given us some advice on.
We can't end on a happy note. It's like, oh, things are getting better, folks. Don't worry about it. But people like Sean are making the world a safer place. We can't end on a happy note.
Are you, Sean, making the world a safer place?
Yeah, and that's the gist of it. That's the gist of it. As it gets more complicated, you'll find people on both sides of the situation. People making it worse and people making it better. But that's the world we live in. I mean, that's how it works.
And what's the alternative?
I guess we can't end on a happy note. Okay.
Exactly.
I mean, the alternative is that you get a spot in the mountains and you don't have any type of network access or communication to anyone else.
Right.
There's your alternative.
Yeah,
Okay.
that sounds appealing too. Okay. Well, Sean, listen, again, it was a real pleasure having you.
Maybe but not productive.
Yeah, it was a real pleasure having you on the show again. And thank you so much for being here with us and letting our listeners know about the Firedragon Network. And you can check it out at firedragonsecurity.net. Or you can head over to our website, computeramerica.com. It's right there on the homepage, a link to the Firedragon website. And you can check it out for yourself and get more answers. Sean Gallagher, again, CEO of Cyber Black Ops. Thanks so much for being here with us today on the Computer America Show.
And thank you for having me.
All right. You take care, my friend. Have a good day.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
You too.
Bye-bye. All right. There you go. Again, I don't know if I should feel gloomy now or feel.
Protect yourself. You know, it's personal security, cybersecurity, all that kind of stuff. It's not always about making sure you're invulnerable to hacking. It's about making yourself a harder target, because there are definitely easier targets out there. So make backups, install things like Firedragon security.
Don't open mails that you don't know.
Proper online practices to make sure you aren't compromised. Little things, and I think you'll be okay.
Yeah, I mean, you get if there's any kind of attachment to it, a zip file says, "Oh, look, here's a picture I found of you," or whatever.
Here's a macro. We're gonna run it in Word. No,
yeah, no, don't open them. All right, we've got computer and technology news coming up in the next hour. We'll keep the phone lines open, 347-884-8881. We're getting the new Sysbold review from Marty Winston coming up as well. You are listening to the Computer America Show. Ben and I are going to be right back just in a moment. Please stay with us.
Broadcasting live. It's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America. Hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into hour 2 of the nation's longest running nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. This is the Computer America Show, and I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And we continue on with our radio broadcast. Again, we just had Firedragon Security on the show, Sean Gallagher with us. If you missed any portion of it, we can certainly listen to it again. We archive all of our programming at ComputerAmerica.com. Again, any page on the menu bar, it says archives. You can see all the different places that archive the show, or on Apple's iTunes, Stitcher, all the different places that carry it. Blog Talk Radio Network has it. Also, you can listen to us live on the IRN Radio Network, the TuneIn Radio Network, all the different places that carry the Computer America Show. You can find out more about them and at ComputerAmerica.com. Okay. It's a little unsettling, but it's the time that we live in. I mean, I could literally open up my email and go to my deleted files, and I could read to you email after email with attachments, and and some of them are so innocent. Here, mortgage rates. Here's another one. Is this picture really you? Or look what I found.
Yeah, they try to make it really personal, like something that you would have to investigate. It's not something that like entices you. It's something about you personally that you would go investigate. Like they're very insidious that way.
Yeah, here's one here. Is this you? Literally, it's this from somebody I've never heard of, but it looks like a JPEG, but it's .zip. I know if I open that, I'm going to infect.
Well, let's experiment. Open that. We'll do a little experiment here on the air.
Yeah, I don't think so, because
you run a Mac, you're impervious, or so you say.
Oh no, but we get them, and not only that, sometimes they're word processing files, because and you think, oh, it's just a word processing it's a .doc or something. No, because word processors have macros, and you open those up. And if you have your macros turned on, the macros can be just as insidious and install all kinds of horrible things on your computer. You just don't want to do that. Or emails that have a link, check this out, for a really great bargain, click this link, however they do it. You've got to be careful. Don't do it. And that's just on a personal level. Can you imagine, again, with banks and organizations, what goes on, and what this guy goes through on a daily basis to protect people like you and me? It's just it's nasty out there. It can be. Anyhow, just a couple of quick things here. Let's do an upgrade alert. Yep. Firefox just came out with an upgrade alert. It is now 47.0. 47.0 just came out yesterday. We didn't mention it too. It was but it's the first. It's released. They have several things. They have support now for Google's Widevine CDM on Windows and Mac OS 10. So streaming services like Amazon Video can switch from Silverlight to encrypted HTML5 video automatically. That's nice. Again, you see, again, I say HTML5 is going to be able to do everything that Flash and Java and
No one's arguing with you.
yeah, I know, right, and they're continuing to improve that with it. They've enabled on this version. They've enabled VP9 video codec for users with fast machines. That's nice. Now, a lot of YouTube, a lot of websites have embedded YouTube videos. Well, now with the release 47, you can now play them with HTML5 video if Flash is not installed. So you don't have to have Flash. You can now play it with this new upgrade. You can also view and search open tabs from your smartphone or another computer in a sidebar. That's kind of cool. Okay. It also allowed no cache on back and forward navigations for HTTPS resources. That's how you can allow for that. And then they've added a couple things like some foreign language I never heard of, Latgalu. Locale has been added. Anyway, there's some various security fixes. They've also eliminated something called Fuel, which is the Firefox user extension library. They've removed it. So any add-ons you have relying on Fuel will now no longer work. That's an important one. Also, because there's something called browser.sessionstore.restore on demand. The preference has been reset to its default value true to avoid E10's performance problems because faster is better. And the Firefox click to activate plugin whitelist has been removed. So those are some of the big issues for Firefox 47. If you have automatic updates, which I recommend you do, you should have version 47 installed on your computer. Just as a heads up, and you heard it here on Computer America. All right. So anything else before we get into the computer news section of our program, Ben?
No. I have lots and lots of news stories ready to go. It's gonna be a really good hour, and no, I think we're good.
Okay. All right. Well, then let's do some computer news stories right now. Here we go. Today's computer and technology news is brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. You can visit them at slimwareutilities.com to clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system. Slimwareutilities.com. Check them out. Download them. You'll be very happy that you did, and you'll thank us for it, really. Slimwareutilities.com.
All right, so let us kick this off. And I was just going to gloss on by this one, but the subtitle really hooked me in, so I have to do it. If anyone out there who's been to a library, you know that, and trust me, folks, I don't want to say I was the coolest kid on the block, but I was the coolest kid on the block because, little known fact, the entire 4th and 5th grade during safety patrol, it's where they take kids and they have them do little chores around the school, give them little, neon belts and what have you. But anyways, I worked in the library for 2 years. So, as a little deputy librarian. And I'll have you know, kids or even people in general do not like putting away books in their proper location. Because when you look out across the hundreds and hundreds and thousands of books and you say, I have to go find the exact place where Mr. Dewey says I have to put this. Oh, heck no. They throw it on top. They throw it on the other books. They throw it wherever they want, regardless of the proper organization system that they have in place. And by the way, folks, book order is common order. It is good. Do it. Anyways, well, now there's a robo-librarian, and it will track down misplaced books. And again, this is from Popular Science, Mr. Kobe McDonald, and the subtitle, The Robots Have Now Become Shelf-Aware.
Oh,
That's a good one right there. That's a good title. So, yeah. So, of course, the article starts off by saying exactly that you'd rather throw the book on the pile rather than finding the proper place for it. So now the University of Chicago has wants to solve this problem and other cataloging issues by automating the entire process of book storage and retrieval. So for your average library course, such a system is unrealistic, but thanks to researchers at Singapore's Agency for Science, Technology, and Research, librarians may get some robotic help in the in the keeping books in their proper place. So A-Star, again, Singapore's system, A-Star Robotics have created an autonomous shelf scanning robot called Aris that can tell which books are missing or out of place, and many libraries have already begun putting RFID tags on books. But these typically must be scanned with handheld devices. Aris uses a robotic arm and RFID scanner to catalog book locations and uses laser-guided navigation to wheel around unfamiliar bookshelves. So, of course, can be programmed to scan library bookshelves at night and instruct librarians on how to get the books back in the proper order by morning. So, of course, so that sneaky book that slipped and is now lost in the stack, it will find it. So the creators hope that RS might relieve librarians of the menial, time-consuming task of hunting down misplaced books. Let's just hope it doesn't relieve them of their jobs as well, which is possible. But yeah, that was kind of cool. If you've ever been to a library, you know that sometimes books find their way everywhere except where they belong. So this was a cool little story, and they even have a picture of it. And again, it's not exactly placing books, but it's scanning all these books and where they belong. So I could see these being used in, massive libraries, the Library of Congress or, giant city libraries. I could definitely see something like this, coming to a library near you.
sure. And it wouldn't even have to know the Dewey Decimal System.
It would. Well, personally, I like the Dewey Decimal System, but there's probably a better system out there now that we have computers.
Yeah, that's cute.
A better system than cards, for sure.
I like that the robot is shelf aware. Yes, exactly. Cute play on words. Hey, I want to do this one here because the weekend is literally upon us, and I want people who have Xboxes to know. They may not know about this, but according to Engadget, if you have an Xbox, you can play Xbox Online for free. Let me say that again. You can play Xbox Online for free, but just this weekend. All right. Now, if you're an Xbox Live Gold member, you can also play games in EA Access for free this weekend as well. So you get a little bit of bonus too. But basically, Microsoft has offered its free multiplayer weekends before, but at the end of this week, the promotion will be available to both Xbox One and Xbox 360 together for the first time. In fact, it's the first time the free trial has been available on Microsoft's current generation console. This means that from Thursday to Sunday, that's today, you'll be able to play with your pals online free of charge if you don't have an active Xbox Live Gold subscription. Wow. Now, during that same period, Rocket League for Xbox One, remember we've been talking about that? That too will also be free to play. So we hope you didn't already have plans. Okay. I was listening to Computer American and it ruined my weekend. I was going to go here and nope.
We always do though. That's our style.
Yeah, I know. Gosh, Okay, well, here you go. And starting Sunday, all Xbox Live Gold members will be able to play games from the EA Access library for free until the 22nd of June. Now, that's usually a $5 monthly or $30 annual fee for titles like Battlefield, Titanfall, Madden NFL 16, FIFA 16, and Dead Space, and more. If you decide to splurge for a subscription after the trial period is up, Well, you'll be able to pick up any saved progress from where you left off. So if you make progress and you like it and you want to, and you continue, you sign up, you won't lose any of the progress that you've made. You'll be able to keep all that too. But again,
So obviously marketing, but
Yeah.
hey, freebies. You
It's free.
can't say boo freebies.
no, you can't. And we'd let you know starting today. So now after the show, you know, and you have an Xbox One, you know what you're going to do.
Well, after the show. So, you're right. Thursday through Sunday. So today through Sunday.
Yep.
That's true. That's true. Well, I'm glad I'm traveling this weekend. Sadly, then. So yeah, let us move on to yet another story, and I think instead we are going to go over to, how about this one? Google Tango. And this is big news because obviously the only augmented reality, or as Sandy liked to call it yesterday, mixed realities services out there have been the Microsoft HoloLens. I'm sure there were others, but they weren't obviously as big a player as a multinational, multi-billion-dollar corporation. So we can kind of write those off. But now another multinational, multi-billion-dollar organization, Google, has something called Project Tango. And what exactly that is, and by the way, this is from Engadget, Mr. Andrew Dalton. And yeah, so this was at the Lenovo Tech World 2016, where a Google engineer who is the director of Project Tango announced some changes coming to the Google's 3-year-old augmented reality initiative. So first up, now that Google is ready to ship the technology to consumers, the company is dropping the project from the name and is now just Tango. So, it is also ramping up its investment in the technology. So essentially, Google is ready to take the thing out of beta and into the spotlight. So according to Google's official announcement, Tango's broad goal is now to help users see more of the world around them, whether that's by creating a virtual box of toys to play with, projecting a scale model of the solar system in your kitchen, or visualizing home improvements, or just helping you find your way through a museum you've never been able to, never been to. So Google's rebranding effort and increased commitment comes just as the augmented reality is starting to grow, and of course is and grow alongside what is virtual reality. But yeah, so of course we'll get more news from Google Tango when the time comes. But it seems like Google, they said it was 3 years old, but I think this is the step after Google Glass that they tried and really didn't do much with. It's Craig, as you know, we know a few people who have Google Glass. They weren't exactly too blown away by it, and they certainly aren't using it every day now. But yeah, Project Tango is hoping that this will be their step into augmented reality.
Wow. Yeah. Well, and again, it's called Tango.
It's called Tango, and just going to their website, you can kind of see it's all done through a Lenovo Tango phone. And essentially, just like Pokemon Go that we've talked about, you hold up the phone and it projects images in real space and real time, so that you wouldn't be able to actually interact with them with your hands, but you'd be able to interact with them through your phone and see them projected over real life stuff. So so imagine having a tablet and walking through a museum. Just use one of their examples, walking through a museum and being able to kind of hold it over the skeleton of a T-Rex, and all of a sudden it comes alive, it has skin and muscles and all that kind of stuff. Or you hold it over a fish, and it tells you more about the fish. Like, it's augmented reality through a device, not through glasses.
Yeah. And I think it's a very cool technology, and ever since I first saw that, and then of course when I heard about the Pokemon games that you can play augmented reality, it's just a very cool technology, and I'm glad to see that Google is working on it.
Well, I think if they get this really, really, really down to where it should be, in the app level, like if they get the technology down to where people are really, really comfortable looking through their phones, as soon as they introduce glasses that can then, essentially work as a monitor instead of a tablet, that they're going to be much more receptive to it.
Yeah.
So if they get people into the habit of looking through, their phone screen or looking through their tablet, Craig, just like you and your Constellation app, if they get people looking for more information projected over real things, then the glasses is just going to make way more sense.
Yeah, I actually have that. I was using that the other night. I realized that technically it wasn't augmented reality because
that is not augmented reality. It just kind of uses your gyroscope and stuff. Yep.
You don't actually see the night sky. You see something that looks very much like the night sky, but it's not the night sky, and then you see everything projected.
Essentially, Craig, what you're looking at is a 360-degree picture, and you're just kind of swinging your phone around looking at that picture.
Right, exactly, and then you can see in the background if you see a star, and then you can see the star. You can see or you can see it's a planet that tells you it's Mercury.
Like obviously, if you hold your phone up, like it's not like you're not going to see like a plane flying in front of your phone.
No, you won't. No, you might see a satellite flying in front of it because it does track satellites too, which is kind of cool.
Right.
All right, this next one I think is really interesting for those of you who are looking for high-speed internet in your home. Well, evidently, this is according to Digital Trends. Google is getting involved. There's a company called Alphabet wants to beam high-speed internet to your home. Wants to beam it. That's wireless.
Well, we all know who Alphabet is. Alphabet is Google.
Google, right. So Google's been, obviously laying down fiber cables for many years, actually over 4 years, but the company Alphabet is already thinking about a future where you don't have to dig up your garden to get high-speed access. In other words, they have to bring it from the they have to bring it into your home, and so evidently in another moonshot project, Alphabet wants to wirelessly beam it to your home. So basically the fiber is there, but the last link of getting it from the fiber into your house, they want to do it wirelessly. And obviously, the first reason is because, well, it would be cheaper, right? You don't have the cost of digging up and laying additional cable, right? And apparently, the technology today really does make it viable, according to Alphabet's chairman. He says, thanks to improved computer chips and accurate targeting of wireless signals, Alphabet executives believe they can transmit internet connections at gigabit per second speeds, the same speed Google Fiber promises with its fiber optic network. Now, remember, when you go wireless, what's the first thing you think of? Well, wireless, you're going to lose some. You lose
you lose that stability.
Bandwidth. Yeah, you lose stability and lose bandwidth, and the further away you are, that it goes down. Now, obviously, Wi-Fi has improved that, but we're not talking Wi-Fi here. We're talking about a dedicated signal that's designed for this, and accordingly, you're not going to lose anything using this technology.
Like in my mind, when we read a story like this, what comes to me immediately is like, I think everyone who has internet has seen those, those poles in their backyard or boxes or something, something that's somewhere high up, and then you get these lines that are draped through the air connecting each house to one another. In my mind, it's essentially you have that pole in your backyard, and through clear line of sight, it's going to beam a signal from the pole, and instead of draping a wire through the air or digging a wire through the ground, instead it's going to beam it wirelessly to your home. Again, short distance comparatively, but again, through clear line of sight.
Well, let me continue on with this because now they go on. Obviously, it's going to be cheaper, and again, thanks to the technology, improved wireless technology, you're basically going to get, if you have gigabit per second fiber in there, you're going to get the same fiber optic speed, even though it's wireless. You're not going to lose anything, which I think is really cool. Now, this technology is reportedly being tested in Kansas City, which was the first city to be graced with Google's fiber's presence. Alphabet hopes to set Kansas City up as a demonstration by next year, and is testing several wireless technologies. Okay, so they want to find the one where it's going to be really a lossless technology. Connected homes to high-speed internet without the hassle of laying down any wire would be a boon for Google, which depends on people going online to use its services. Okay. It's not the only exciting project, by the way. The CEO teased from Alphabet. He says some upcoming promising experiments include plant-based imitation meat, 3D printed buildings, and more work in virtual reality and artificial intelligence. He says the best way to predict the future is to invent it. He says we start from that premise here at Alphabet. Okay, so in an effort to push Google to address this, basically, they're saying that this is literally next year. It's around the corner, and it's fine. Hey, I understand that we have our good friend and buddy Charles Tendell is calling in. So why don't we say hello to him? Hey, Charles, welcome to the show. How are you?
What's going on, Craig? I am well. I was perusing around on Blog Talk Radio. Right, I was cruising around over there, and Computer America popped up as being live, and I was like, I'm going to call and harass Craig for a minute.
You just missed Firedragon Security.net. We had the CEO on the show talking about their intrusion networking and things that he was talking about different tactics that they're using now rather than the 1990s mentality of intrusion. I wish he'd called in that first hour. He was a very interesting.
Check out the podcast.
Yeah, he was a very interesting guy. Sean Gallagher was on with the first hour. We're talking about that because it's true. I mean, today, they're not looking for your personal account. They're looking to, break into banks and, get millions of dollars from it. So, and it was a very interesting first hour. So, anyway, what do we owe the? What do we owe the pleasure of your company?
Well, two things. Well, the first one was Dee and I, my wife and I, remember we went on this journey across the country, right? Mm-hmm. And we were using wireless internet the whole time, but ours was provided by Verizon, and we were getting anywhere from 50 to 100 megs using just wireless cellular data. So we had, different antennas, different technology, and depending on where we were, we were getting broadband internet speeds wirelessly, which was fantastic. I mean, it ran Apple TV, it ran, music streaming. It even, I think I did your show once or twice on it while I was traveling. I'm pretty sure I did. And it worked out. So the wireless technology is there, but you got to be careful if you're playing on Google or anything that is Google Fiber or Google's technology related, because they keep coming out with fun things like mobile, where they're doing, what do you call it, the phone. Mm-hmm. They've got their own phone system now.
Google Fi.
And they've got all this other stuff. Google what?
Google Fi, F-I, Google Fi.
Yeah, that thing. And it's a big deal because it's just another place where Google owns your information. And if you pay attention to the terms of service that they give you and you pay attention to what Google is, they are a data marketing company. So you got to be, if you're okay with the fact that Google now owns your entire existence, if you're using their internet line, I mean, everything, not just your searches, not just, your social media, not just, your Google related stuff, everything. Right. And if you don't believe me at all, you can actually just go out there, do a quick Google search for some random product that you'll probably never buy. Right. And then watch how that product ad follows you everywhere around the internet. Everywhere. Anywhere where there's an ad space, that picture will pop up and it will shock you. And if you take note and you take down the number of different URLs that it's on, you'll see it and be like, oh, okay, I get it. But if you're okay with that, go with Google Solutions. And then the second thing was you had said that your first hour guest was all about updating and doing, not using 1990 technology to be able to fight the bad guys, but the bad guys are after, $25 million bank accounts. Well, I might not get a $25 million bank account by hacking Ben or Craig, but I'm pretty sure someone in Ben or Craig's Rolodex has a $25 million bank account. If not, 6 degrees of separation, I'll find someone or get $5 from everyone you know. And that's how it all works. So the easiest solution to all security is to bring it down to the core level, which is the human element. Every corporation, every business, every person out there is made up of individual people And those individual people are the people we need to be talking to, are the people that need to be helped with their security. So
by the
I'll
way,
check it out. I'll listen to it.
by the way, yeah, well, thank you. But by the way, Charles Tyndall is himself a certified ethical hacker. I didn't mention that. And Azorian is the name of his company. And by the way, Charles now has his own radio talk show called Hacked with Charles Tyndall, right? And
Yep.
And people can hear it where?
Well, you can hear it everywhere. 'Cause it's all over the internet. And guess what? Because of you, and you guys are coming on the show tonight, right? It's Throwback Thursday.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So you guys are coming over. You forgot about me that fast? Yeah,
Did not. We promise.
no love from the Christmas. But you can listen to it. You can listen to it by going over to the CharlesTyndallShow.com. There are buttons there that you can subscribe to it. You can go to the 1690 Denver'sMoneyTalk.com and listen to the live stream. Or if you're following me on Facebook, you can actually watch the live video stream, at least of my half of the conversation for now, on the Facebook page. So it's also there. But as of last night, I'm also going to be live on Blog Talk Radio. So that's a thing too. So
excellent.
We've got Blog Talk, we've got the live Facebook stream, we've got the live stream from the radio station's website. And if you're in Denver, turn your dial to 1690 AM, Denver's Money Talk, and listen there. And it's all good stuff.
All right, Charles. Well, listen, thanks so much for calling the show. We're at the bottom of the hour break, and we will see you tonight on your show, okay?
See you tonight.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye. All right. We continue on here at the Computer America Show, 347-884-8881. And we're doing computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities. Ben and I will continue right after this. Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they are available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com. Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission of Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is to help build a sustainable, no-kill community where no dogs or cats are ever killed for population control, where true euthanasia is reserved only for animals who are irremediably suffering or for animals who are truly a threat to society and with no hope of rehabilitation. Brother Wolf's staff and volunteers go door to door, neighborhood by neighborhood, to educate citizens about local resources available for at-risk pets and to help their families connect with those resources. Brother Wolf's community-based approach to no-kill helps keep family pets healthy, happy, and in their homes and out of the local shelter system in the first place. For more information or to make a tax-deductible donation to this wonderful 501c3 organization, visit their website at www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
Yeah, at my age, if I'm paying for a stripper, it's the strip paint. Hi, I'm Marty Winston with a news tips bulletin review for Computer America. This time, the Klein Tools magnetic wire pulling system. There seems to always come a time when we have to run an Ethernet cable or a phone cable or a coax cable down the inside of a wall to some connecting point below. The magnetic wire pulling system from Klein Tools stores in a plastic cylinder about the size of a frozen juice concentrate can. Inside, almost 20 feet of nylon cord on a spool with an impressively strong magnet at one end and a cable holding loop at the other, plus a second magnet with a finger grip. The magnets grab each other through the wall so you can control the path to the opening, then pulling the cord pulls the wiring through. Bottom line, the Klein Tools magnetic wire pulling system makes working inside a wall a ball. Marty Winston, News Tips Bulletin for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. It's 33 minutes after the hour, and Ben and I are doing computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. This next story here is
which one are we doing now?
Well, I was just saying that we just got back.
Well, yeah, we did just get back, and I just want to say it's my turn to do a story, Craig.
Yes, go ahead, go for it.
So yeah, and by the way, that was Charles Tindall we just had on. He was a longtime correspondent, actually co-host for the show for a little while.
Yeah.
For those Computer America historians. So yeah, we're gonna be on his Throwback Thursday show this afternoon. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
And will it?
So, let us go on over to. How about we go to remember that Tango AR app?
Yes.
For Google Tango AR lets you to see other things. Well, here's something that I actually remember seeing out at CES, but now they're finally making it out to the real world. And if you are a fan of, let's say, HGTV or any of the other home improvement networks, you'll see that when they go up to a family and they're like, well, I have this home and I only have $300,000 to put into it. So, what can you do for me? And it's like, oh, okay, well, whatever. And they go in and they have, instead of an artist, kind of draw and color with pencils and crayons, they now use computers and tablets and rendering software so that they'll completely redo a space, and they'll how do I put this? Completely do it in digital medium. So they'll repaint the walls digitally, they'll swap out all the furniture digitally, they'll do everything digitally, and and then they say, here's our plan, and they're like, oh, that's amazing, perfect, let's do that. And then the end result looks something similar to that. Well, instead of paying a bunch of other people to do something like that, Lowe's and Google want to bring that to the everyman. Yes, the used out there. So Lowe's has a Tango AR app for home improvement projects. So of course, this is again from Engadget and Mr. Billy Steele, and of course he says that we've explored the Musée National des Arts de Catalunya, which is, I'm sure, Catalunya's Museum of National Art, using Google's Tango technology, and we've also used it for a little gaming. But now Lenovo is bringing the first Tango device for the masses. We're going to see new augmented reality software that makes use of Google's 3D mapping software tech. So Lowe's, the hardware and home improvement store chain, has an app of its own that allows you to place appliances, add accessories, and make other virtual tweaks to your house before you begin a project. So, of course, what's more, the company will sell Lenovo's 500 Fab 2 Pro starting around for about $500, starting around this holiday. So the Tango software will give you an idea of what a certain shade of hardwood flooring would look like in a living room, or confirm your suspicion that the refrigerator you've been eyeing won't actually fit in your kitchen. So in addition to gaming and educational uses, Lowe's Vision app provides a real-world solution not only for interior designers, but also do-it-yourselfers who are looking to spice up their own living space. So, of course, for virtually placing furniture, there's a Tango app from retailer Wayfair. The software gives you an AR version of the piece you're thinking about buying, and then lets you digitally impose it on your living environment. But suffice to say, little things like that is what Google is hoping is going to intrigue you enough to go and invest yourself in this augmented reality platform. So, Craig, do you think this has any use for an everyman who, say, wants to redo their kitchen or redo their living room, and they want to kind of walk around? Because, like, honestly, for $500 right now, I can see it for like interior designers. It seems like a very simple thing that if you're doing this on a daily basis for a lot of different places, this could save you a lot of time rather than trying to render up an entirely new house all on your own. This seems like a much more cost-effective solution, but for for everyday projects, I don't know.
Well, again, you mentioned it's $500. I could see if it was for free. A lot of these things are for consumers. They make them for free.
Well, no. The platform is $500.
Yeah.
So the app itself is probably going to be free.
Okay. Well, so you're saying that the app itself is free, but the phone,
the app, I because it's coming from Lowe's, I undoubtedly think it's going to be free, but it's going to say, for this, you're going to have to go to Lowe's and put in this model number and purchase this product. Like, I'm sure it's going to be, a shell for how to put Lowe's products in your home.
right.
And it's going to tell you exactly which products to put in your home from Lowe's. But the platform, it's like the tablet is $500. The app undoubtedly is just going to be free as a way to get you to put Lowe's stuff in your home.
Yeah. Well, again, this sounds a little bit like Amazon. They give you the tablet and everything, and then it's basically just an easier way to buy stuff from Amazon. And I guess it's sort of like that mentality. Although in this case, certainly it would be a lot easier to visualize what your room is going to look like with wood flooring or tile flooring, and you can see all that. I think that would certainly, in your mind's eye, we get a better picture. Or painting the walls different colors with different paints, you would get a better idea of how to do that. Although I have to say that there are apps out there now that are free that will allow you to use your smartphone to do pretty much the same thing. That will allow you to do that. So, or if not for free, for a very, very small charge, for a couple of bucks, that'll let you use augmented reality to change the layout of any particular room that you're pointing the camera at.
Right.
So, so I think it all depends upon what you're.
And I guess the real thing about this is that this is one of the pioneering apps. This is going to be one of the first things you can use the solution on. There's going to be if this works out for Google, there's going to be tons and tons and tons of apps that are going to be similar.
Right.
So
yeah,
I guess you can kind of look at this as, this is the direction that initially they're thinking about taking augmented reality, which is, again, seeing how stuff looks, not actually interacting, but just kind of saying,
which I think is a great application for this. I mean, room layouts, changing paint colors, changing floors. I mean, and adding, pieces of furniture. I think is a great idea, and do it in virtual reality. So as you move it around, you can actually see what the room looks like. I quite frankly, I don't know if I paid $500 for it, but I would pay quite a bit, especially if I'm about to invest in, make a large investment in my home, and I could see what it's going to look like before I do it, or to help inspire different ideas. I think this might be something to worth.
Well, yeah, like the $500 is to also superimpose the information on your walkthrough for educational purposes. It's also to play video games on. It's also to, it's just like any other $500 tablet. It's like, $900 is a lot of money to spend on an iPad Pro when you could just get pencil and paper and draw if that's what you're going to do. But if you get a lot more than just the one application.
But if you already have an iPad, or if you already have a smartphone, I might suggest to you that there are apps already out there that are free or extremely low cost that do a lot of what this is doing now.
But not in AR.
No, in AR. In other words, the idea is that you use the camera in your tablet, in the iPad's tablet, or in your smartphone, your iPhone's camera, and you can literally change the color of the walls and everything and see it, and it just superimposes it. It's AR, and I've seen it. So they are out there. So
I feel like this is going to add something because it's using a different kind of camera, and just like its other use case of, will this fridge fit in this space that I have for it? And it's going to be able to tell you definitively using its camera that the space that you have and the dimensions that we have on record for this fridge do not match up.
Okay, well, I don't know if the other AR apps do that. Okay, if this is actually has features like that, that certainly would be valuable. But again, before I go out and plunking down $500 on a tablet, check to see what's available for the device that you already have. That's my advice. See what's available. Okay,
all right, fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, I think we have time for a couple more news stories.
Okay, all right. Well, here's an interesting one. This is again according to Engadget. Timothy Sapala. He says Android can launch apps based on where you are. Okay. It's a new Android feature, uses GPS and Bluetooth to open applications before you need them. Now, let's face it, there are apps now on my iPhone that'll tell you, it knows where you are and it'll tell you what's around you. But evidently, according to this story, Google really wants the apps you use to take the context of where you are into account. Thus, it's called Nearby. It's a feature that uses Bluetooth and your device's GPS to deliver you apps based on where you are. The post on Google's official Android blog gives a few examples of how this might work. Printing photos directly from your phone when you're in a CVS pharmacy. That's kind of cool. Or using the mobile passport app to duck the customs line at certain airports. That's neat. The feature is baked into an update to Google Play services that's rolling out now and works on devices running KitKat and up. KitKat being the Android operating system, the version of the Android operating system. All you really need to do here to use Nearby, that's what it's called, Nearby, is to have Bluetooth and GPS activated. And who doesn't pretty much on their phones these days? Much like physical web beacons, you'll receive a notification when you're in proximity to one of the Nearby apps. And if you'd rather not check it out, you don't have to. But I think it's kind of slick. I think it's kind of cool.
It's probably useful for, and again, my favorite thing is, of course, hearing about these news stories and thinking about the use cases for it. Mm-hmm. And, let's say you download the Disney app, and it has a whole suite of, the closer you get to Space Mountain, it's going to launch, a little app that says the wait for Space Mountain is 20 minutes. Just location-based pop-up apps have a purpose, I would think.
Yeah.
Or maybe you have one for like a gas station, or, for a chain of gas station, whenever you pull into a blank gas station, the blank payment app pops up, and then it's only running when you're actually in a physical gas station.
Yeah. I like the examples. If you're in a CVS pharmacy, you can get your photos printed directly. Maybe it'll have one that, if you use CVS and you have prescriptions waiting, it'll let you know.
I could see this really being used to better conserve on battery life, because again, unless you're at a gas station or CVS or really anywhere that the app is relevant to, you're just wasting battery power running them in the background.
Yeah, well, you're right. But anyway, it's available.
I hope to see more of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
So, how about we go to let's see. There's one I really wanted to do here, and it was about the continuation of. Let's see. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Okay. It's the continuation of Moore's law.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So, because Moore's law, for those who don't know, every 18 months, the number of processors doubles, something like that. Essentially, our computing power for the electricity that we expend doubles. And people have been proclaiming that Moore's law is dead. Moore's law is dead. It can't go on forever, because it's been that, it's been the rule for like the past 30 years or something like that. It's it obviously it's exponential, so it can't continue forever. But everyone is really excited about the year when it isn't, because then that is a shift. So, and this is an article from Ars Technica, and it's a reprieve from Moore's law. It's called "The Mil-Spec Chip Writes Computing's Next Chapter." So, and again, this is all experimental. This is something that is being worked in the labs right now, but could potentially extend Moore's law. So, at the front, and this is at the Raytheon's Integrated Air Defense Center, there's a reminder of how big microwave electronics used to be, the original microwave oven. So, and there's a gentleman there standing next to it. This thing is massive. So, the now ever-present kitchen device was invented by Raytheon engineer discovered his candy bar melted while he was standing near a magnetron used in a radar system the company was developing. Can't imagine that people are just standing next to these things and going, oh man, the air is getting really bad in here. It's weird. So, nearly the size of a refrigerator, the original microwave looked like it could cook a whole lot more than whatever was put into its metal grate, which was meant to contain the microwaves from its magnetron. So a few hundred yards away is a much different technology today. In a semiconductor fabrication facility, fun fact, built to resemble a giant integrated circuit from above, the company produces many of the chips that go into its modern day radar systems. So these tiny radio frequency amplifiers are similar to the ones found in cell phones, Wi-Fi adapters, and other wireless communication.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, they're saying that, wow, this article is much longer than I thought it was going to be. So, yeah, let's try to run through this one. The reason that Raytheon and other semiconductor manufacturers have put so much effort into gallium nitride is that semiconductors' unique attributes. GaN, again, short, is what's known as a wide band gap semiconductor. It can be used in devices that operate at much higher voltages, temperatures, and frequencies than other semiconductors. So as a result, GaN chips are more power efficient. They have a longer life than other semiconductor chips because of their heat tolerance, and those characteristics are a trifecta for military applications. So I guess I'm just going to say that the long skinny of it is that instead of silicon, they want to use this GaN, which is gallium nitride
Mm-hmm.
instead of silicon, and that's going to let them be, allow them to withstand higher temperatures. It's going to allow them to be more durable, and obviously, if you combine those, then that lets you put more processors and run them at higher temperatures, which obviously means more efficiency. So.
Okay.
So the long skinny of it is that in production, or at least in the testing labs, GaN semiconductors could prolong Moore's law by changing the material that we use and better producing chips.
Okay. All right. Good to know. Now, for those of you who use Facebook and you have your smart phones and everything, and you know that you can take these 360-degree photos or panoramic photos, well, guess what? Facebook now lets you take these type of pictures and upload them. You can post and view them with your smartphone now. Facebook has gone 360 with static images. Starting today, you can take and view 360-degree panoramic photos on Facebook with your smartphone. Okay, now, basically, Zuckerberg, who's the CEO of Facebook, obviously, these are similar to 360 photos. You can tilt your phone and feel like you're actually there. You can also check them out in virtual reality for a fully immersive experience. And I've been playing with panoramic photos in the past couple of weeks, Ben. Some of the pictures that you can take are just absolutely outstanding. I mean, you can get so much more information in a relatively same amount of space. So if you haven't explored the panoramic option on your smartphone, you really should do so.
Obviously changes your field of view, which is very helpful.
Yeah, it's extremely helpful, and it's very eye-opening, and you can get so much more information in that single picture that you could.
The trick is to go very, very fast and jerky. So that way you get more information faster.
Camera
loves it.
Camera will tell you not to do that. Anyway, according to the story, there's one big difference. You can take 360 photos with your phone using any one of a number of third-party 360 camera apps and upload them directly from to Facebook from there. Meanwhile, capturing 360 video still requires specialized camera equipment, so it won't be a video. It's going to be an image, and you can do it. So get ready to see selfies and vacation photos and albums in a whole new way, and this starts on Facebook today. And they have, if you see the story, if you're watching Ben, and you can see some of the videos there, you can see what you can do with it with a panoramic video. They're just absolutely gorgeous, stellar. And again, most smartphones now offer that ability to do that, take panoramic pictures. Okay.
Yep. So let us move on to a lot of good ones. All right, how about Tesla? What is a news day without Tesla news? So Tesla, as you may know, they make batteries and they make cars to fit around their batteries. And Tesla's most affordable Model S returns with bigger battery. The new Model S60 comes with a 75 kilowatt battery pack that can be unlocked with a software update, which Craig absolutely loves.
Yeah,
so,
I did.
So Tesla, of course, their Model S60 is back, and it has an attractive base price of about $66,000, which is not bad for a high efficient electric car, sports car. So that's around $4,000 less than the sedan that the automaker originally sold from 2012 to 2015. So again, price drop, yay! Before it was replaced by the 70D. So to sweeten the deal, Tesla added a 75 kilowatt battery pack to the car, and the extra power and range can be unlocked via a software update if the owner needs to do so. So of course, there's an added cost involved, but the exact price hasn't been revealed.
Okay.
So why is Tesla bringing back the low-cost option? And it's simple: consumer demand, saying that we've heard from a number of people who would like to buy a Model S, but can easily afford it only at a lower price point. So the 60 and 60D won't be the most affordable options because obviously we know that the Model 3 at $35,000 will debut next year.
Yep.
So for now, the Model S60's 210 miles of range pre-upgrade, 130 mile per hour top speed, and 0 to 60 mile per hour in 5.5 seconds is the most budget-friendly Tesla.
Yeah.
So, yeah, again, scooting Craig's hatred of the fact that, here, you buy something that has a certain set of hardware, but then you have to pay more to unlock it. What do you think, Craig?
Well,
Other than the software needing to be upgraded.
It makes a car available to more people. I think you can it drops the price down, and it makes the car more affordable. And yes, sure, maybe in a year or something, then you can always pay them to for the software upgrade, which will make it full. But I think at least opens the door to a lot of people who might not have been able to afford a Tesla, and now they'll be able to afford it. So I think it's a good idea.
Well, again, the $66,000 one, they said $4,000 price drop. That's good. $66,000. That's still a heck of a lot for a car.
Yeah.
But if you've ever read a review of a Tesla car, once someone goes Tesla, they cannot shut up about it.
Yeah.
So they have a lot of good, a lot of good reviews.
Yes.
But next year the Model 3 comes out, which is again going to have smaller range, smaller car, and just be all around less of a car. But at $35,000, I think that's going to be the real test of the consumer market and the desire for electric cars.
Yep, exactly.
At $35,000. So
I don't know if we have much time. I can do a really quick story here. This is from Tech Hive. Microsoft is putting its DVR plans on hold for the Xbox One. I don't know if you knew this, but basically they put their plan to add a DVR capability to the Xbox One on hold, consistent with Microsoft's efforts to focus the console on the gaming market. After careful consideration, we've decided to put the development of DVR for over-the-air TV on hold to focus our attention on launching new, higher fan-requested gaming experiences across Xbox One and Windows 10. Which makes, it makes for that. This is all based upon fan feedback. They're saying that they would rather have more game functionality than have a DVR in their Xbox One when it comes to choice. So it makes sense. They're going to make PC games playable on the Xbox One. That Bluetooth support is going to be added for generic Bluetooth headsets, and a full offline support for the Xbox One, including achievements similar to the Xbox 360. So that's what the fans want. Evidently, a DVR is not up there and on demands for it. Certainly, it could come down the road. But right now, if you're looking, if you bought an Xbox One TV tuner, well, guess what? You're not going to have the DVR function built into your Xbox One, at least for now.
I think that feature, the DVR feature, is in high demand for, what do you call it? It's in high demand for the cable companies, because then that gives, they're hoping that gives people a little incentive to purchase a cable plan through their Xbox, which is very, very nice. But I think Microsoft's right, where the demand from the consumer really isn't there to integrate cable television into an Xbox, something that you play video games on and watch Netflix on and, do all this other fun stuff. Sitting there and watching television really isn't that high up on the list.
Yeah, I would agree with them. Well, again, that about wraps up the show. Again, I want to thank our first hour guest, Sean Gallagher with Firedragon Network.
90 seconds.
Here for being with us. It was an interesting program. Coming up tomorrow, we're going to have both hours. It's all Bond. Ralph Bond from Autodesk is going to be joining us here on Computer America. And he's got some great stories. Get this, a software solution, a software update that lets any smartphone, anyone, detect squeezes and forceful touches. Now, how do you do that? Software that changes it, gives you... this is what we're going to be talking about.
Seconds.
Also, we're going to be talking about bendable smartphones coming up. And also, we're going to be talking about, of course, 3D printers and a way to print jewelry right on your body. These are some of the stories that Ralph's going to be coming up. And also, designers create chairs and tables that fold into the wall. So if you want space, that's a great way to do it. Anyway, that about wraps it up. Ben and I will see you here tomorrow, same time, same place, same station. So until tomorrow afternoon, this is Craig Crossman, hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy. We'll see you tomorrow.
Have a good one, everyone.
Bye-bye. Ralph Bond's going to be here. Cool.
10 seconds. Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Okay, everybody, again, thanks for watching. Ralph Bond will be here tomorrow, as we said, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.